Let's begin.
Listen carefully.
Let's begin.
All right. I'm in a good mood now. Wow, I love that intro music.
I know. I found myself bopping to it, man. That was fun.
Yeah. Welcome to episode number 2 of Politicks. Of course, tick like the blood-sucking insect. I'm joined here today by Brian Nichols. Brian,
What's up? John Odermatt. I think this is my first. Yeah, this is my first Politics because I missed it last time because I was at work and then I was on Meme Wars. So yeah, this is my first time. I like it. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. It's just 2 of us today. Lou is on the road. Lou Perez. He was actually in Pittsburgh last night, but I'm an idiot and forgot he was coming to Pittsburgh and did no planning to meet up with him. So
you wanted to pull your Alex Jones. Well, Joe, the truth is, I'm a little retarded.
Yes, that's the truth. That's the nice thing about our new Lions of Liberty crew is we're very open about our retardation that we have. So
that's right. We don't let it get in the way of treating each other with dignity and respect.
Exactly. So that's what's happening with Lou and Brian McWilliams. He is I think he's a female now. So he was in some surgery yesterday and he got a vagina. So
his Audi became an innie.
That's what happened. That's what I heard. Actually, that's probably not what happened. Maybe I don't want to. Maybe it did happen. But he had some sort of medical thing. He's fine. He's on the mend. And if he wants to share that with you, he can share it on his own down the road. But yeah, so in 2 weeks, hopefully, we have the whole crew here. And I look forward to it. I look forward to the four little boxes where we all talk over each other, and none of it makes any sense, but people listen. That's how podcasts work, right?
That's right. It's like going back to March of 2020 when COVID hit and Zoom rooms became a thing and nobody knew how to use them. Good times, right?
Yeah, those were terrible times.
Oh, sure were.
Look where we are now. Look how far we've come. But so just a reminder here, Lions of Liberty, a little transformation happening, right? We brought Brian Nichols, Lou Perez on the show. They have their own shows now on Lions of Liberty. Lou on Tuesday, Brian every Thursday. So be sure to subscribe for that. This show, Politics, will be every other Friday. And then on the Fridays where we don't have this show, on our bonus feed for our Lions of Liberty Pride members over on Patreon and on Locals, we have Meme Wars. So be sure to join the Pride on Patreon or Locals to get that show. But let's dive in today. We're going to talk about a lot of the things that are happening in the news, but you're going to get our unique perspective here at Lions of Liberty. We're going to talk about the tragic shooting that occurred outside of the Israeli embassy in D.C. We're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill that just passed in Congress this week. And we'll talk about Ivanka Trump and some weird things she's doing with a Jiu Jitsu trainer posting on social media. So we'll get to all that stuff. First, though, I guess to kind of set the table, because Brian and I have a lot in common with sort of the change we've been going through over the past several years here with COVID and libertarian politics and things like that. But we were talking pre-show about how, really we've kind of changed how we look at the world in a way. I think we both came from a place of being much more, let's look at everything from a principled perspective, and this is black and white. This is how things are. Now things are a little more nuanced. So I don't know if you want to share a little bit about how you've evolved, just briefly, if you want to share how you've evolved.
Well, I much like the rest of us, we got into this liberty world, right? And the ideas are intoxicating. Like when you find this answer to seemingly all the problems that we see in the world, it is obvious that you'd want to go out and share the message, right? Like kind of evangelize the value that we're seeing with this solution, and this solution's liberty. And the problem is, that I've found at least, is that so many people just stop there. They get intoxicated by the ism, And then they don't take that next step and say, okay, number one, how do we actually get this stuff into action, right? But also number two, in order to get into action, that means we have to sell other people on the ideas and the solutions, meaning that we're going to have to take the ideas that we see that are just so black and white obvious and help present it in a world that's just shades of gray, right? And as I have gotten more and more involved in the liberty movement, I mean, I've been in this world now for well over 10 years, and I've seen, we had a moment there with like the Ron Paul, Rand Paul kind of revolution. Like Ron Paul set the stage, Rand Paul was going to carry that forward, and then Trump happened, right? Which was fine. Like Trump was obviously a needed component to changing the way that the world's looking at issues. But then you fast forward with COVID hits, and a lot of the stuff that I kind of just assumed, like, oh, people will buy liberty if they just are able to experience it in their own lives. And then I see COVID, and so many people that I thought would be kind of in that market, not only were they not open to the ideas of like liberty and personal responsibility and autonomy, they were actively against it. They were the folks championing lockdowns, championing forced vaccinations, championing your COVID card to go eat at a restaurant, right? And to see that mentality, it really did open my eyes like, oh, okay, we need to be able not to just go out and share our story with the masses, but we actually have to go out, find the right people who are more open to our ideas, and then with that, incrementally start to do a sales process, right? Going out, you're leading with the political signage, which is the messaging, and trying to get people interested, keeping the ideas and solutions top of mind, but then not going in and trying to just pick arguments with people and try to win debates, because that doesn't really solve anything, but actually working with people who are motivated to bringing solutions to the table that maybe aren't perfect solutions, but they move us in an incremental direction towards the right way, right? And as I've gotten more, not just involved in this world, but then also, as life happens, I have a family now. I've moved multiple times. Like some of the stuff that we would get so enamored with, like the textbooks and the debates, it just, you don't have time for it. And we were saying this earlier, John, like, it's not like you and I haven't heard this stuff before. Like if I go on social media and I'm making a tactical statement of like, hey, here's the ideal, but to get here, we have to do X, Y, and Z, which maybe aren't perfect libertarian solutions or answers, but it is a step in the right direction. And then you have some neckbeard come out of nowhere and be like, well, if you read this book, you'll realize why that's wrong. And I'm like, dude, I've heard it. I've heard your arguments. I've read the books you're talking about. I'm at the point now where we have to stop living in theory and we actually have to live in the real world. And frankly, like the best way I'm realizing to live in the real world and make a real impact is not just like teaching libertarians how to sell this stuff, but it's like by living by example. And I live my example by really two areas beyond just like, being a libertarian, but it's, I look at the health and wellness side of things, which I know you do as well, right? With Plexus. And, over my shoulder, you'll see Cardio Miracle pop up. Like they're a heart health supplement I've been using now for a couple of years. It's awesome. I used to weigh 385. I lost 200 pounds of fat. Like that became a huge part of my life. Thank you. And then, being a dad, obviously, and being a husband, like that became a huge part of my life, if not the biggest part of my life. And then on the other side, my professional side, I'm a business executive. I'm a sales coach. I work in the world of channel sales and business telecom solutions. And like that world, even though it's not a one-to-one with the world of politics, it's like that world though is way more able to actually solve problems today, right? Like we can use those types of solutions to make real changes today. And, that's how businesses are doing their communication strategies or what have you. But you can make changes in that space using sales and marketing and like all the techniques and stuff that I've been teaching libertarians over the past few years. Like that didn't just come out of nowhere. That came from the stuff I've been doing in the private sector. So I don't know, man. I think I'm planting my flag and I'm not giving away anything, but I think, I'm really going to start focusing sometime here the next few months of more on the things I can control, which are my health, my family, business, like sales, that kind of stuff. and things I enjoy, right? Like those are the things I'm passionate about. I've had 975 plus episodes of the show, and I've had guests from all walks of life, policy experts, economists, politicians, business owners, and I'm going to continue doing that. It's just I'm not as open to just like, hey, let's talk about theory, let's talk about policy, let's talk about the ideal. Like that's fine, but it only gets us so far, and frankly, I want to enjoy these conversations, not just feel that I'm going through the motions to check a box to make them feel like, okay, we got our policy prescription talked about today. Woohoo. Like, let's make it real and let's make it tangible to your average person. I don't know.
Yeah. I think there was at some point we got confused as people on the right. I'm trying not to use the word libertarian, but it's hard not to do because I don't consider myself a libertarian. I'm definitely not a big L libertarian, but people who want smaller government, people who want the private sector to be more free. We want lower taxes. We want less regulations. People who think that way. I think a large segment of us, when we first came into this world, and we saw Ron Paul talking about ending the Fed and bringing the troops home, and all of these ideas that are correct. They're the right ideas. I'm not saying that they're incorrect and we shouldn't do that. I'm just saying that that's never going to happen. And what happened was a lot of us became obsessed with those right ideas, as you said earlier, and we made it our personality, those ideas. And it became everything we talked about. And it became every argument. Well, this is how we fix it. When in reality, in order for it to be a fix, it has to be like you were talking about with sales. It has to be something people want. And if people don't want it, then it's not going to sell. It's not going to be a solution, right? So a lot of us became obsessed with that, and it became what we post about constantly on social media. It became what we podcast about. And I think it's good to have a few voices doing that. But when you have thousands upon thousands of voices saying the same thing about an idea that's not going to sell, that people don't want, it just becomes irritating, really.
Yeah.
Especially when you've heard it and you understand it and you know that it's the right idea, but you know that people don't want it. It's kind of, you reach this point where it's like, okay, well, how do we move this ball from where it's stuck right here? And, you can hit it with a baseball bat. You can try to kick it, but it's jammed here. It's not going to move. We have to try to move the rock out of the way, right? We got to try some different things, to use terrible metaphors that I'm not even sure if they make any sense. But I think, a good application to talk about this is our first topic, right? This big, beautiful bill. And I think a great place to start is with the name, which I don't know if what your thoughts are in the name, but I think it's a terrible name
it's
for
so
a bill.
Stupid. It's BBB. It's Build Back Better, but now it's just Trumpified to sound gay.
It's horrible. I know Trump does this thing where he calls things beautiful and everything
gorgeous, delicious.
It's gorgeous, it's wonderful, a handsome man, a beautiful woman. I get it. That's Donald Trump. But when you name bills, and when they name bills, they name it the Patriot Act because it's patriotic. Who cares that it actually spies on you and goes through all your text messages and they watch you through your webcam on your computer? Who cares about that stuff? It's a Patriot Act. It's affordable care. Who cares if it just empowers the insurance companies and makes healthcare more expensive? It's affordable care. This doesn't even do it in a good light. It's big. Nobody wants a big bill. Nobody who's in favor of smaller government wants a big bill. So it just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, well, and not only that, I mean, the one champion against this bill, God bless him, is Thomas Massie, which I know he's been getting slings and arrows from the Trump folks over on social media, especially Twitter. I mean, Trump himself was saying that he thinks Thomas Massie doesn't know how to govern and doesn't know about politics, and he's just a grandstander, and he wants him out of office and stuff. Time out. First of all, Thomas Massie is quite literally the best congressman we have. He's the only person I could look at in Congress and be like, yeah, that's the closest thing we have to an original founding father. He actually cares about this stuff. He understands this stuff. And oh, by the way, Thomas Massey went to MIT, so he's not just, it's this rube who's like, oh, I have an idea. He's very smart. He's very educated. But one of his biggest things he's been fighting against has been this whole idea of these omnibus bills, these continuing resolutions. And it's like, stop taking everything and lumping it into this big bad bill, and just because you're changing the word to beautiful doesn't make it good. Just because it has an R next to it doesn't make it good. We've been fighting against this stuff for years at this point, and I know that this has kind of been just business as usual for Congress, but there comes a point, and maybe I'm wrong here when I say this, but I feel there should come a point where your average person takes a step back and just says, hold up, we can't keep doing this. We need to hold our elected representatives, our officials accountable, but they don't. and as a matter of fact, any time that a politician does stand up, if they're in a purple district or, not a super safe red district, but if they speak out against, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, the military industrial complex, hey, we need to scale back here, here, and here, they're almost inevitably going to be voted out of office. They're going to be targeted because you're taking away my thing now. You're taking away my Social Security. You're taking away my Medicaid. I'm sorry. We are at the point where what are the options? A giant tax bomb at some point to make up for the spending. Hyperinflation? Austerity measures? What do we want to see happen here? There is no way this ends good. So just like when you're losing weight, are you going to embrace the suck now for the benefit in the future, or are you going to keep eating yourself to death to the point that you have the heart attack, and then all of a sudden you wake up, 3 months later from a coma, and you've lost 20% of your body weight because you've been force-fed a diet that you didn't know you were eating to help lose weight, right? That's the route we're going to go. I don't want to see the heart attack happen. I want to see us do things now that, are going to suck, but it's going to make things objectively better down the road versus you're going to have that terrible thing happen and then just by the circumstance have to react to it. Yeah, man, I don't know. I think it's not good either way.
Yeah, it's really a shame. I mean, we had Elon Musk come in and do those initial Doge cuts and identify fraud and waste and all of these just retarded things that the government has in place. They haven't changed their computer systems, updated things over time. And instead of implementing those Doge cuts, I don't think any of them have been implemented in this bill.
No.
I think everything has been, traded off for other things in order to appease the Democrats. So it's just, imagine being Elon Musk and you put everything on the line for Donald Trump to elect him, and he appoints you to this position to head up Doge. You come in, you just go all out. You bring in your crew of Gen Z coders to
big balls,
big balls to rip through all this data that and build these complex algorithms to uncover this hidden funding and USAID and all these different things. You expose it. You put a lot of it out there for the taxpayer to see. The taxpayer,
by the way, at his expense, right? Yeah. That's the biggest part.
Yeah, for sure. And at his expense in many ways. At his expense, taking his time away from his companies. That I don't know how the guy functions, to be honest with you. The little things that I do entrepreneurial wise in a couple different areas, looking from one place to the next, it's crazy. Just doing that on my level, I can't imagine at the CEO level. Plus, he gets involved in the engineering with some of these things. It's freaking mind blowing. But that's a different conversation for another day, I think. So that happens, and then his Tesla dealerships literally are getting firebombed. Mm-hmm. The guy's getting trashed by every media outlet. Mm-hmm. And what does Donald Trump do? Well, he buys a Tesla and puts it on the White House lawn. Oh, go buy a Tesla. So he gets a free ad out of it, I guess. But it's just wild. I would assume Elon Musk is mad. I don't know how you couldn't be mad about this after putting all this time in and giving all your resources for free to the U.S. government to uncover this, and it's just pushed aside by the GOP.
Well, not only is it pushed aside, he is watched as the efforts he has put forth have actively come back to hurt him, number one. But number two, I think Elon is politically frustrated because he just made that announcement the other day where he said, I'm not going to spend money in elections that much going forward. Like, I'll pick and choose, but I'm just not doing this anymore. And I'm not sure if it's, more of he watched as the Wisconsin Supreme Court election went forward and he put in, I think it was like $250 million into that race and it ended up losing. I'm not sure if he looked at that and said, okay, this just wasn't a good ROI on this investment of trying to get the right folks in office, or he's looking at the grand scheme of things going back to when he did lend his support behind Donald Trump. Really, I mean, it was after that assassination attempt in Butler, right? And that's when Elon Musk was all in. If that was, if that from that moment to where he is today, watching, to your point, the Tesla dealership attacks, his credibility being, just attacked in the media. He now has half of America hate him just because he took a political position. So I'm wondering if it's all that, and then what did I get from it, right? Oh, we're getting more of the things I was brought in to fight against. And oh, by the way, I'm watching as elections go forward where I spend millions of dollars and we're not getting any positive outcomes from there. So if we lose him as a voice, both from him vocally speaking out, but also financially supporting some of these issues, man, like, I don't know, like, is that a red flag for like things going forward, or is this just like a bump, like a speed bump?
That's a darn good question. And, I wonder if Elon sort of had his Brian Nichols, John Odermatt moment after, slowly getting involved in politics, realizing it doesn't work.
Took us a couple of years, took him a couple of months. Yeah. That's about the Elon pace.
Yeah, makes sense. But I mean, like, it's complicated, right? Like so much of this stuff. Like, ideally, you'd want him to, fund the right candidates, fund the Thomas Masseys of the world, people like that, elevate them into power so we can actually make real change. At the same time, you want him to be doing what he does best, to working with AI and robotics and Tesla and SpaceX, and getting our society to a point from the private sector where we can realize, oh, the government does absolutely nothing. Why are we sending them money? Like, let's stop doing that because they do nothing for us. Like, maybe he can work that from the private side, but I think the thing lurking in the corner, the elephant in the room is, well, there's people on the left who want to destroy him, literally want to put him in prison, and probably will do that if they get back in power. So it's like, I don't know, like which can happen first, or it's tricky.
And meanwhile, going back to the bill itself, it's a 1,000-page bill. It adds $4 trillion to the debt, I think, like immediately. $4 trillion immediately. They've upped the debt ceiling, right? Or they're trying to up the debt ceiling. Meanwhile, Moody's lowered our credit rating as a country. Like, we're seeing all of this come together right now, and it's not good. Like, we're in a very, very tough spot. I'm old enough to remember, John, as a matter of fact, I worked on a congressional campaign in 2012 when the debt was in the teens. And that was a big deal. Like, that is 2 years removed from the Tea Party revolution of the late aughts, early 2010s. And that was the issue. That's where we got Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, and, love him or hate him, but like your Ted Cruz's, your Mike Lee's, shit, your Justin Amash's of the world, right? Like, that's where these guys all came from. And you look where we are today. This is just a slap in the face to that movement. That movement entirely became a thing and mobilized a very loud, vocal group of Tea Party patriots who were saying we have to rein in this spending. Like, it is a complete 180, flip the bird. Like, no, we're marching this direction now. And I don't know if it's more of a political expediency or more of a, listen, we're never going to fix this and we're just going to get what we can while we can. I think both options could be true. I don't know which one I lean more towards, but I don't see a way out of this, John, unless we are willing to take these really hard moves. Now, I say all that. I am curious, and I was actually thinking about this last night. Like, what's going to happen in 20 years, right? So you and I will be in our 50s and approaching the tender age of 60. Like, we're going to be older, but the older Americans, your Gen Xers and most of the boomers, they're either going to be gone or leaving soon. And I think you and I, even right now, we're at a point where if I were to say, hey, John, do you expect to get any of your Social Security? No. Right? And I'm the same way. Mm-hmm. And more we're seeing Gen Z is in that mindset. And I'm going to almost guarantee like Gen Alpha is going to be even more, they're going to be even more aware of things than we were when we were young. So at that point, you're going to have, 3/4 of the population who's going to just be on the same page of, listen, this is all make-believe anyways. I'm not going to get shit. Like, do we bite the bullet and say, hey, older generations, like, we'll let you, we'll let you get what you earned, right? It's my money. Like, we'll let you have that on your way out. But millennials, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, Gen Beta, whatever's next after that, like, hey, I don't know, like get back what you put in and then we're done. I don't know what that would look like, but I feel that there would be a moment where we might have an electoral opportunity to actually nip these things away because, I mean, we're the ones who we're seeing right now. It's not real. Like I know when I look at my pay stub and I see Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, like I'm not getting any of that. That's going off into the netherworld. Yeah. So yeah.
That's a really good point. And I guess I really haven't thought about it to that degree, but I really wonder how close we are. Is it 20 years? Is it 10 years, 15 years until we get to that point where you have enough of a voting block to be like, okay, well, let's actually solve this. We know we're getting the shaft. Let's minimize the pain. Like, how do we do that? And also take care of the elderly people who actually need it. You don't want to, totally cut someone off because they were told their whole life they were going to have it. Okay, well, let's be humane about this and not, just cut someone off and let them die. And
by the way, I'm really curious to see, like, if there will be more of a flavor for a true, like, public option, right? Like, opt in and opt out. Like, I don't want my money to go towards Social Security. And by the way, I'm not expecting it in 40 years. So, like, let me opt out of that. Let me spend my money elsewhere. Obviously, we can't do that right now because it's a slush fund. It's a Ponzi scheme. Can't say that. But, like, that is, I'm hoping one day, an option that we could at the very least get on the table because otherwise it is, by definition, a redistribution scheme to take money from us and give it to the old folks. Like that's just all it is.
Yeah. Even if we have to sacrifice something to be like, okay, we are opting out, but we'll still give 15% into the fund of what they were taking, not of our income.
Right.
Of that portion of Social Security, you can still have the 15% of that slice of the pie, but we get 75 or 85% of that back. I don't know. Just throwing random numbers out there. Something like that. You have to start somewhere. But I mean, in this bill, and we don't have to talk about all the details, but of course there's a couple good things. I mean, extension of the 2017 tax cuts.
Yep.
That would have been disastrous if those expired. What do you think about, the child tax credit increasing through 2028? They created some sort of, I don't know if it's just how they're implementing it, but they're calling it $1,000 mega savings account for newborns. And then there's the whole thing with the state and local taxes, the SALT deduction cap, which they changed from 10,000 to 40,000. What are your thoughts on these things?
Just let people have more of their money. And that's the ultimate answer, right? Now I understand the political realities, going back full circle to our conversation when we started. Like, you have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, which is why I understand the argument. I'm not agreeing with it, but I understand the argument of saying we have to pass this big, beautiful bill in order to get these certain areas, the tax cuts, the regulatory rollbacks, like all this stuff. But don't add the fluff. Let's keep things at the very minimum, like from a spending standpoint or an allowance standpoint or a little bribe here or there. Let's stop that shit, because all that's doing is it's empowering the Democrats when they inevitably will get power one day in the future to do the same thing, if not worse, right? So I think the goal should always be to rein government back. Now, with that being said, you mentioned the child tax credits, the MAGA savings accounts. I get it. Like, we want to empower people to have a family. Okay, give me a bigger tax break then. Like, let's just start there, right? And that's across the board for folks, not just for parents or expecting parents. Like, let's actually roll this back for folks. You go towards the SALT deductions, right? I think that is one of the most disgusting ways to bribe somebody in a blue state to vote for a representative. Like if I'm a Republican living in a purple district in a blue state, I'm going to get a special bribe to keep voting for that member of Congress. That's shitty. I'm sorry. Like that's goofball. Let them feel the pain of their state politics. I'm sorry. I moved out of New York State. I moved out of Pennsylvania for reasons, right? I moved out of Philadelphia, John. I was there for 7 years. Like, people can move and vote with their feet. You don't have to have these special little carve-outs to say, oh, well, you're a special demographic. We're going to really make sure we take care of you. Stop that. Because, again, it incentivizes the left to do the exact same thing inevitably when they have the power again. So, I get it. I get the argument. You know, we're taking incremental steps to get these certain wins, but we're creating more problems that we're going to have to address 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road. Like, I feel like Michael Scott, you know, the bite his nose to spider face.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big, beautiful boondoggle. That's the title of this episode. And we're going to move on because we only have about 18 minutes left here, but just some other things that are in the bill, and some of these things could easily be rolled back by the next administration if it's the Democrats come in. Prohibition of Medicaid and CHIP, Children's Health Insurance Program, from covering gender-affirming care. That's a good thing. I'm in favor of that, but could easily be rolled back. Ban on federal funding for clinics that provide abortion services, except in cases of rape, incest, and dangers to the mother's life. Codification of a narrow biological definition of sex under the Affordable Care Act. So, we're actually defining gender as a man and a woman. That's good. Of course, they're spending a shit ton of money on the border, which I would rather, if it was just spending more money on the border and not this crazy amount of funding going to expanding the military, I'd be like, okay,
I get it.
Doing both, it's insane. It's too much.
Yeah. Well, and I forget, I saw this, I think I was listening to PBD. Was it PBD? I think it was PBD. And they're talking about the average cost of an F-22, and it's in the billions of dollars. Like, that's bonkers to me.
How? It's like...
And that's the thing is, like, an airplane? What? I beg your pardon? That's the piece for me that and I understand, like, we have to be competitive on a global stage to keep ourselves secure. I get that. But, like, there's got to be a better way. There has to be. Like, $22 billion, I think it was, per plane? What? No.
Yeah, like, the crazy thing is the changes we've seen with technology over our lifespan. When we were, just getting out of college, you wanted to get a flat screen TV. It was like $2,500, $3,000.
It was a big deal.
You can go to Costco, Sam's Club, and get one for like $150, $200.
Yeah, dude, literally, no lie. When I go around and do events, I have a choice. I can either rent a TV from the hotels and spend $350 to rent that TV, or I go to Walmart, I get the same TV for $120, and then I use it as a giveaway.
Yeah, that's smart. It's crazy. So we have that happening, but yet we're paying billions and billions of dollars on all of our military. It's like they're immune to any of these technological price deductions. It's just crazy. It's wild.
Yep.
And it goes back to that old adage that the government spending $500 on a hammer. That's actually like what happens.
It's the old the Pentagon was spending like a couple $1,000s for cup holders. Like, yeah. Okay.
It just
sounds good.
It's just the contract. We're gonna pay these contracts. All right. So moving on to the next terrible thing.
This one really does.
This is really bad. So the shooting that occurred on the 21st in the evening, I think around 9 p.m. Outside the Israeli embassy in D.C. 2 young people, I believe, in their early 30s, were shot and killed by I'm not going to say the guy's name, by an assailant who yelled as he was being apprehended. So he shot them outside of the embassy, and then there's like a library there, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, and he went in.
And then he went inside the library and just like sat down, and people who were in there were like, oh, this guy's distressed. They didn't realize it was a shooter, and they gave him water. Like, and it's crazy. And then he comes in, he's apprehended, and he yells out, "Free Palestine."
In the spirit of Adam Bushnell, the guy who self-immolated, what's that word? He lit himself on fire.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. Free Palestine. That guy. Yeah.
It's a couple of things on this. So first of all, like, I'm not saying that this is a conspiracy here and that this is a false flag or anything. I think this really happened. I think people really did die. So I just want to make that clear. But just from the perspective of the Israeli government, could anything better happen for them in order to justify what they're doing than this shooting?
And what's happening here in American soil, right? Like, we're watching right now, was it yesterday that the Trump administration revoked Harvard's ability to have international students because they're quote unquote anti-Semitic. We've been seeing this across the board as well, where any folks who are in America on a green card or a visa, if they are students and they are raising against Israel or against the war in the Gaza Strip, that they're being not just told not to say it, they're actually being rounded up and sent away, having their visas and green cards revoked. Now, there's one argument. I've heard that Tim Pools argue. He was debating Adam Conover from Adam Ruins Everything, and he was saying, listen, if you're going to go to a country, respect their laws. I hear that. But there comes a point where I'm like, this is getting a little hairy here, right? Because now we're making policy from an American domestic standpoint based on the whims of a foreign government. Yeah. And they're using this I'm going to call it a facade, not saying it's not real, but like this facade of anti-Semitism to make the argument that this is why we're doing this, not because it's about Israel, right? But that's the underlying reason that they're able to do it, is because it's disrupting the foreign policy of the United States. That's why Marco Rubio is able to have such ability to do this. So, I mean, again, to your point, if I was Israel, what better type of event could take place to help make my argument to an American public? What better than having some guy, Luigi, in the spirit of Luigi, go out and actually do something like this? Man, it's shitty. It's shitty across the board. It's just not good.
Yeah, and just like another point, bringing up Luigi, it's very scary that this type of thing is being normalized now as a way to, in the shooter's mind, in these violent, demented people's mind, that doing this is somehow helping their agenda, is helping what they want to do.
Yep.
Whether you disagree with what they want or not, violence like this is obviously never the answer. And it's crazy. Like, speaking of Luigi, not of this event, so shifting gears to focus just on Luigi now, when you have someone like a comedian like Bill Burr going out there and saying free Luigi, you got to be freaking out of your mind, Bill Burr. It's crazy, irresponsible. I don't care if you're a comedian and you say you're joking. You don't joke about killing people, man. It's messed up.
We're at a really dark time, John, as a country. Like, and I know this gets blown, out of proportion all the time. Like, like just each side battling each other, but like just objectively taking a step back, you can feel it, right? Like both sides are so elevated. You on the left side of the aisle, you have this whole free Luigi mentality, this free Palestine, the anti-rich, the anti-capitalist mentality. And dude, on the right side, I mean, we're starting to see some of this creep up as well with like the whole the black fatigue thing that's been going around social media a lot. You have a lot of folks on that side of the aisle who are also pointing at the Jews as the bad guy, right? So you're seeing that this is starting to really escalate. And unfortunately, there is a large portion of Americans who are just kind of stuck in the middle, being like, this is bad across the board, but we're not the ones that get heard more often than not. It's the loud voices on those polar extremes. And if we continue to see the extremes become the norm, it doesn't bode well. Like it's gonna keep escalating like compounding interest. Yeah.
Well, the good news is I've heard that Bitcoin fixes this. So
cheers to that. Yeah.
But seriously, no, you're 100% right, 100% spot on, and it's disappointing, and I guess it's frustrating because you have a young family. I have a young family as well, and you think about the future of our kids and what they're coming into. And the way I look at this world, though, and I don't know if you're the same way. I'm an optimist. Like, when you have a kid, you have no choice.
I was gonna say you have no choice. You have to be an optimist.
You have no choice but to figure out a way to do what you can in a small way. Not that we can control the world. You can't. And your kids got to learn to adjust and learn their lessons on their own. But at least we have to be optimistic about the world they're coming into. So I do always look for, different areas, things that are, places that are getting better, not getting worse. And, maybe we'll talk about that on another show, kind of contrast, what we see as, areas that we can be optimistic about and areas that are, I guess today we're talking about the areas we can't be optimistic about. But I think that's an important balance. You were talking earlier about shifting your show and talking to families and talking about health and things like that. Not that you have any plans to shift your show. I don't want to say that. But I think when you're just talking about the way you've shifted your thinking, I misspoke there. Apologize.
I might shift my show.
But I think it's important for us as people we've come along this journey, this path, that's something we need to, put at the forefront, right?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day too, right? Like I used to teach this to one of my sales teams. Control what you can control, right? I had a sales guy named David, loved him to death, still one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. And, he was a Gen Zer, is a Gen Zer. And he would always get so frustrated over the stupidest shit. He'd be like, oh, dude, Jason didn't move the deal forward. What is going on? I'm like, hey, David, breathe. Control what you can control. Did you do great roll goal next step? Did you check off the boxes? Did you uncover a pain point or a project? Right, you did. Okay, you have a decision maker on the call. Great. Is it a time frame for the project? They want to get this done. Yeah, you did. Great job, bud. You did your part. I'll handle the rest. But control what you can control. Don't let the things outside of your purview distract you from the good things you're doing or the positives that are happening or the things you can actually go out and with your own hands make happen. And taking that lesson, that's where I think what we're doing here in the show, the restructuring I'm talking about for my show, right? Like, these are things that I really think we need to focus more on going forward, because you've taken an approach with your show, with more of a health wellness approach, and obviously with your job with Plexus and stuff. Like, I use Plexus daily. I use Cardio Miracle daily because it works and it helps me live a healthy lifestyle. And that's something I can control. I can't control the big, beautiful bill, right? I can't control some nut job going out and in cold blood murdering two people on the street. But what I can control is how I react to it. I can control what I'm doing with my family. I can control my community, right, to an extent. So I think, and by the way, I think this is the overarching theme. Social media has destroyed our ability it has put us in a situation where we are being destroyed because we were not in a position as cavemen or tribal folks to have this global empathy whenever bad things happen. As a matter of fact, we didn't know that bad things were happening, right? But all of a sudden, we all get interconnected, and I'm seeing every terrible thing from everywhere at all times. And it creates this perception of helplessness and like the world's going to shit. And it's just not true. Like, yes, there are bad things that happen in the world, but I would dare say a lot of that bad stuff, it's not that it's new. It's just it's new to us. We didn't see it all the time because we didn't have the means to. I remember that, John. I remember back when we were kids, we would get the newspaper, right? And you would read the newspaper in the morning, and you'd watch the evening news at night, and that was it. That was what you got for your daily dose of information. And then we got these little smart devices that give us literal supercomputers in our pocket, and we are interconnected at all times with no off switch. There are people I know who have horrible sleeping issues because they sleep with their phones next to them at night, and they have notifications still turned on, so they're getting buzzed every night, multiple times a night, and they look at their phone. And I'm like, dude, you want to disrupt your REM sleep by just looking to see what new shiny button is on your phone to make you have a paranoid attack? No, don't do that to yourself. So, moral of the story, control what you can control. Yes, care about things that are happening in your world, but don't let those things that are beyond your purview actually dictate your emotions and dictate the way you approach every day and your family and your life and your work and all that and more.
Yeah. And speaking of controlling what you can control, that brings us to our last topic for the day. So I don't know if you were aware of this. I just became aware of it today. And I'm sharing on the screen here for our...
Is that Giselle? Her name, was that Tom Brady's ex-wife?
Yeah, well, hopefully it doesn't lead to that, but it's going down this dangerous path here. So Ivanka Trump is now into jiu-jitsu, and she has her own personal jiu-jitsu trainer. And I'm sharing a picture of her practicing here. She's holding this man. I don't even understand how this is possible. He's got his feet up in the air, and like for a while, it was like, whose legs are whose? What's happening here? Trying to figure it out.
If those were her legs, I would have some questions. For the audio listener, they are quite hairy. Quite hairy.
That was the giveaway. That's how I knew it.
And the feet are bigger than her head. That helps too.
But it's bringing up the Tom Brady thing. You know, Tom Brady, of course, accused of cheating with, Giselle accused of cheating with her personal trainer on Tom Brady. I don't know if that was ever proven true or not, but
I mean, she's married with him and has a kid now. So,
is she really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't follow that stuff.
Yeah, okay. She has a kid, or she's pregnant with the kid from the jiu-jitsu instructor.
Interesting.
So, I mean, if she didn't, I mean,
yeah,
there was desire.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the case closed on that. It looks like Ivanka Trump is leaving Jared Kushner, and that's no. But seriously, like as a man, as a husband, you see something like this, like, and for the young listeners out there. You're looking for your spouse. You're looking for someone you can trust. If your boyfriend or girlfriend is training with a member of the opposite sex and doing physical moves with them, you probably already lost your boyfriend or girlfriend there, kids. Like, it's pretty apparent. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
I remember back when I was a director of marketing and sales for a very large fitness chain up in New York, and one of my personal trainers was training this. She was coming full circle. She was from Israel, actually. She was an Israeli bodybuilder, and I'll never forget. Like, you know, they were very, very, very tight. If you catch my drift, John. And one day, her boyfriend, who was not the personal trainer, came in like, "Where the is he?" Like screaming. I'm like, what? and that use case was very much proven true, you know, in that example. Mm-hmm. So yeah, at the end of the day, like, and this kind of goes back to like the Mike Penceism of approaching relationships. Like, Mike Pence doesn't show up in a situation where he is 1-to-1 with a female of the opposite sex, a person of the opposite sex.
You never know in today's world.
Not assuming. Sorry, Mike. His brother, by the way, was my congressman here in Indiana, but I digress. But like, when you see that, and I'm like, okay, maybe there's something to that, right? Like maybe this whole thing that we've been told is lame and it's, you know, it's old school. Like, oh man, you're such a, you know, misogynist. You don't want women and men to be together. Like, no. Like, maybe there are reasons that these things were kind of unspoken and in many instances spoken rules, but I digress. Yeah.
Hey, we're a broken people, right? Don't put yourself in situations where you could go off track. Yep. So it's just being.
It's the one thing in the Bible that God says to from all the sins to run from is lust.
Yeah, exactly. And people gave Mike Pence shit for that, and that was one of the only things I didn't give Mike Pence shit for, because I agree with it. But that's all we got for today. Brian's got a hard stop. Got to let him go. So be sure to subscribe to Lions of Liberty if you love any of our shows. But we do have a new feed that'll be coming out for politics. More on that soon. With that being said, we'll see you all on Politics in 2 weeks. And, of course, next week you'll get all of our shows on Lions of Liberty. So see you later. From John Odermatt, from Brian Nichols, have a great weekend, and we'll see y'all next week.
Let's begin. Oh, yeah. Listen carefully.